What is up, Mets fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Mets'd podcast. The boys are in person out in Astoria. We got together. We went to the game on Thursday. We saw the big news. Christian Scott called up. We got to watch a little baseball. The boys got sun-kissed, if you can see the faces on YouTube. Me especially, I got the raccoon eyes going because I was wearing the sunglasses all day. But a nice win to end the series and split with the Cubs after what was a pretty abysmal offensive showing in the first three games. Francisco Lindor flu game breaks us out. Lots of good things going on. James, how you feeling? How's it feel to be back?
Feels good to be back. Feels great to be at Citi Field for a day game. First win of the season, which is really nice to be because I was at opening day, which was horrible, and last Friday, which was also horrible.
First win in the States for you at a game.
Yes, first win for me, States at a game, and just a really fun Mets game because we plan to go this day game. My buddy Levon's here. He's in town. He's never been to Citi Field. Hey-o. So we were like, all right, we wanted to go Wednesday because that was the Budo Shota Imanaga game, and then we play trivia on Wednesdays. So we were like, all right, we just might as well go the day
Priorities.
game. Some nice sun out there, and we got the most exciting game of the series, which is amazing, and really saved the series for the Mets because if they were to have lost this game as disappointingly as they were playing it through the first 5.5, 6 innings, it would have been a really bad taste in our mouths for the series, the homestand, the episode, but this kind of saved it. Now it gives us like an uplifting feeling as we head to Tampa Bay for the weekend.
Yeah, Hauser was pitching terribly.
I'll push back, and I don't think it was that bad today. He gave the home run. He wasn't that good. He's still nibbling. He's still walking basically a guy per inning. He has to throw, I think I saw the Meek Phil tweet, I think 30 consecutive scoreless innings to get his ERA below 4.
Oh.
He's not that great, but now Christian, it also was so serendipitous, so hilarious that Christian Scott, the call-up leaked during the game.
Well, because I tweeted out after Hauser gave up the home run to Christopher Morel, I tweeted out, call up Christian Scott, and like 5 to 10 minutes later, Christian Scott, the call-up news broke. Obviously, he's not going to be on the roster until Saturday. That would be stupid because he's not pitching until then. But it seems like it's pretty official that Christian Scott's going to be pitching on Saturday.
We were coming home from Citi Field. We accidentally got on the train that went to Flushing.
Insane.
But, yeah, we even got separated on train cars, weirdly. But Mendoza said after the game, Christian Scott will be pitching Saturday.
Official. Nice.
Yes, so
wow. The press release didn't come out yet.
No, I mean, I don't know if you're allowed to say that. If you're a member of the organization, the press release isn't out yet. I wonder if PR is going to really get on Mendoza for that. Oh, Mendoza's been very honest, though, always in these press conferences. Really amazing. I don't know if this is just the way he is or if the Mets just haven't sunk their claws into him yet to tell him to shut the fuck up sometimes, but I love it, especially the candidness of the way the game ended on Wednesday night. A lot of good things from Mendoza early, but we're having a lot of fun. We'll go game by game now kind of briefly, but more talk about me just talking about pitching, then just talk about where this team is right now because we are a month into the season. We're in May.
Yeah.
Everything starts to feel a little more real. Sample sizes are big. There's not a playoff picture yet, but you kind of see where a lot of the teams in the National League are stacking up. Again, we'd be a little bit more than halfway through the 2020 season.
Which is crazy.
That the Dodgers fake won. But frustrating series overall. Monday was super frustrating. Both the losses and even the win almost was very frustrating. But just, again, happy we got these done.
Yeah, I mean, the offense just has been
horrible
bad.
homestand.
It's been abysmal. Lindor hadn't really done much until the last game, until the flu game. Starling Marte came back, didn't look good. Pete Alonso is in just such a rut. He's doing the thing that I think we've said on this podcast a bunch, and maybe I've just really said it, is I hate when Pete is worried about batting average because that's when he's not good. That's not when he's at his best. If Pete Alonso's a 270 hitter, that's a bonus. That's a plus. If Pete Alonso hits 45 home runs, I don't care what the number is with the batting average. 45 home runs, 100 RBIs every year, happy with that performance. And sometimes, especially when he gets into these ruts like we're seeing right now, I think his batting average has dropped 50 points in like 2 weeks. He was at 270 at one point. He's down to 220 right now, maybe even lower. And I think it's because he's fishing for hits rather than going up there and taking aggressive swings, which at the ballpark today specifically, his swings were horrendous. It's
even weirder than that because I'll never even look at Pete Alonso's batting average. Something that'll never matter to me. But it's the fact that OPS is dropping. Like Pete should be aiming for that 900 OPS because he has everything. He has everything in his bag to be a 550 slug guy and a 350 on base guy. And the fact that maybe singles are his way to get to 350 on base, but probably the player he is and the player that we want him to become as he ages. Again, depending on this contract, whatever happens next few months, because I feel like that is also definitely looming over his head. And we know the way that Pete thinks and the way that he gets nervous and anxious about everything in life. But I just want that 900 OPS. Now, I think after the game, it got to like 760.
Yeah, he's definitely
he's just not hitting for power. He's not getting on base. And again, he sometimes just also hits better away from Citi Field. But I don't know if the stats bear that out. But this homestand the only hit he had his entire homestand was a 200th home run.
Yes.
The only one he had, the entire homestand. So that sucks. But I don't know. I know he'll be okay, so I'm not going to be worried about Pete Alonso cold streaks. But it just doesn't feel like his approach, his demeanor, everything is like that of a very comfortable player.
No, he's been missing hangers. He's been taking good pitches. He's been swinging at bad ones. Like, he can't get away from chasing right now either.
The first at-bat of the bottom of the 10th inning today in the game, again, the Mets eventually won, but with a man on second, the Mets held, thanks to Starling Marte, and Edwin Diaz held the the Cubs. I keep thinking everyone, like, I keep getting all my NL Central teams confused.
We're done with them now, so we're good.
No, get the Cardinals next week.
Oh, yeah, we're going back to St. Louis.
Yeah, going to St. Louis. They're the greatest fans in baseball. But Pete just hit like a lazy ground ball to the shortstop, which is there's one thing you really can't do in that situation.
Can't hit it to the shortstop.
Especially as the 4-hitter. You can't do that. And he did that. And again, nothing didn't run to matter. He got picked up by his team, but just bad homestand for him. Bad homestand at the plate for Starling Marte defensively.
Awesome.
I love him.
Incredible. The cannon today in Game 4 was incredible.
Yeah,
his arm was he let go of those 2 throws. The first one I was like, oh my God. The second one was like, holy shit. I was like, he is firing those things. It wasn't a crazy distance by any means, but I think it got up to 97 on both of those throws, which that's a friggin' hose.
Did you see that Baseball Savant had like not Baseball Savant, but someone was passing around a fake reading of an Ellie De La Cruz throw.
Oh, the
I think
106.
Tuesday night. Yeah, someone said Ellie De La Cruz is about 106, the hardest throw ever. It wasn't true. And every time it was cited in tweets, I give Mike Petriello a lot of credit for this because it's his data. He was like, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. It counted about like 300 followers were tweeting like, "Oh my God, the best throw ever from Ellie De La Cruz." Mike Petriello like, "Sorry, it was wrong. That's not true. don't cite this information." But a lot of respect for that. But that second throw from Marte when Madrigal was coming around, or the Madrigal hit. No, Madrigal was coming around.
Madrigal was coming around.
The first one, the sac fly, I almost kind of expected it because it was a pretty shallow fly ball.
And he had lots of time to get behind it.
Yeah, it was perfect momentum, and he threw a strike. But the other one, the Madrigal one, I almost didn't expect it. My eyes were elsewhere on the field, and then I saw the throw coming like out of my peripheral. I was like, oh my God. And then a great pick by Omar Narvaez. We've given Omar Narvaez a lot of crap. He's not hitting well right now. He's not fielding well at all. The Mets, I think, as a team, have thrown out fewer than 2% of base runners this year.
I think they've only thrown out 1.
I think it's 1 out of 42 base runners.
And it was Tomas Nido's first game back.
Yeah, so that's by far the most stolen bases allowed and by far the worst cost stealing percentage in the league. But credit where it's due. He saved the game with that pick. Or maybe he didn't save the game because we did win the game with no outs and a man scoring position. But it still happened. It still happened. The game's over. We don't know what happened. But good pick by Omar Narvaez in that play.
Way to not block the plate.
Way to not block the plate.
Like those cheating bastard Chicago Cubs.
I think we don't really have to make that a huge story this episode.
It's because it's really such a non-story, but we will talk about it.
No, I guess even want to like start going back now at the beginning of the series because this has been a long series. Monday feels like a lifetime ago.
So long ago.
But a lot of fun things happened. Mainly Luis Severino like flirting with a no-hitter.
So for context, James, what were you doing on Monday night?
I was at dinner with some friends I hadn't seen in a while. Like my friends from home. Shout out Connor. He listens to every episode. Connor's the man. Dan the man. And Mike. So we were out in Hoboken. I was on my way back from Jersey. I spent the weekend in Jersey with family and wedding on Saturday. So I was just with them. And I was like going to track the game on my phone. We were just having a fun dinner. We were being boisterous. I was telling them about my trip. They were telling me about their lives. We were having a good time. Had a couple cocktails. And I start getting a flood of texts at about 9:15, 9:10. I'm like, what's going on?
Keep talking. I just got to lower your mic volume a little bit.
Okay, that's fine. I'm like, what's going on in the Met game right now? And then I open, I'm like, oh my God, Luis Severino's throwing a no-hitter. And whatever the opposite of a shout-out is, Moonface Steve Gelbs for the jinx of the year. What the hell, dude? We had to put a 4-line quote tweet on this. Like, everyone's trying to not say it, and you just start saying it. What are you doing,
To be fair, I'm totally of the ilk of I'm going to say it. I'm totally a say it guy.
It's tradition.
It's tradition. I get it. Gary's a say it guy, too. But when I text you, I'm like, have you been watching this game? You're like, no, I've been out. I was like, Luis Severino is throwing a no-hitter. I was like, have you seen what's going on? You're like, shut the fuck up. Like, there's no way. He was phenomenal. He was great. He wasn't getting necessarily like the swing and miss strikeout stuff that you would expect when you hear no-hitter, but it's the new Luis Severino where he still has that good stuff, and he's just getting really, really weak contact.
There's 2 things Severino is doing this year that I think have allowed him to kind of be comfortable and get himself into this groove that we've now seen him in, where he has one of the lowest ERAs in the National League through a month of the season. And it's that he's pounding the strike zone. He's at like a 60% zone rate in some of these starts. And this start was like that the same. And he's pounding fastball. 64% of his pitches on Monday were either fastballs or sinkers. And just from that first pitch, like he just felt like he was very, very, just very locked in. I watched back all the pitches, guys. Don't worry. I'm watching these. And a second as all this happened, I put the game on my phone.
Severino.
On the table. Yeah, Severino. But it's also really interesting right now how he's using a sinker because that's a pitch I told you guys about in the offseason. That was something he introduced last year. He threw it like 10% in time in September, but didn't even start throwing until the middle of summer. Wound up being a 3% pitch for him on the year. But now this year, it's his second most thrown pitch. And that's the thing that he still has good velocity, but he's lost a lot of life on his fastball shape. He's lost some IVB on that, lost that rising action that made him the freak of nature he was when he first came into the league. But he's just going right at dudes, and he's throwing the sinker significantly more often to righties and lefties, which is a weird thing that we've talked about. That the movement profile of a sinker, you kind of want to throw more often to lefties than righties because it can bleed more over the middle, more over to the barrel when you throw it to a righty.
No, you want to throw it to righties. You don't want to throw it to lefties.
You want to righty sinkers.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, really?
Because it comes into the right-handed batter.
It comes back into them.
It comes into the right-handed batter.
comes into them.
Yeah. If for a lefty, it comes back over the plate. For a righty, it comes into their hands.
This is a whole conversation that we had about opposite-handedness for sinkers.
I just don't think you get it.
Maybe I don't get it.
It's always going arm side.
Yeah.
So righty, it's going to go into the right-handed batter.
Well, that's what he's doing. He's burying it on their hands. He's getting a lot of weak contact with it, and
that's
it's awesome.
Exactly why.
But again, that's the big change. Right now, that sinker is the second most thrown pitch. He's throwing it almost 20% of the time. Last year was barely 2%, and it's huge right now. Tons of soft contact, limiting damage. It's definitely has been the key for him nearly going this season.
Yeah, and what sucks is the Mets really wasted this performance because in typical fashion, Jameson Taillon threw a gem of a game, the most fake gem ever. He went, 7 innings, 1 strikeout, 4 hits. The Mets put the ball in play a ton, but there was no oomph, and there's really, outside of like Brandon Nimmo, and I guess Pete, when he hits the ball, he's just not doing it that often right now, but there's just not a lot of oomph right now in this lineup consistently enough. Like Jeff McNeil's not hitting the ball very hard. Lindor on the right-hand side is hitting the ball hard. Game 4 is a little bit different. DJ Stewart hits the ball hard, but he swings and misses a lot. Like there's just been a lot of lack of good contact being made by this team, and we've talked about this in the past before. They are kind of built around singles. This is what happens when you have a team built like this. So for all you old people out there who are obsessed, the Mets are trying to hit too many home runs. It's the exact opposite. The Mets are trying to hit almost no home runs, it seems like.
Instead of trying to hit home runs.
I know, but I'm saying like
physical capabilities.
The philosophy doesn't seem like the Mets are lift the ball, hit home runs, which I think the old heads would say like, too obsessed with the home runs. That's why they can't score. Got to put the ball in play. No, the Mets need to hit the ball hard, and then you let the things happen.
This game was a lot of fake good contact because if you look at the box score, the Mets had a lot of hard hit balls against Jameson Taillon, but a lot of them were beaten to the ground, and also a lot of them were just kind of stuck between that like 95 to 100 zone, which is technically a hard hit ball, but it's not a ball that if you hit that hard, you're necessarily going to do damage, especially when you're not really lifting it.
Not barrel, technically, right?
Yeah, not barrel. Not a lot of barrels in this game. But also then we just have to talk about the Joey Wendell play because now the entire Mets fan base is fully turned on Joey Wendell. There's some great jokes about him being made, not as expense, which sucks. He's a human being just like you and I, but after today's game, Thursday's game, Tim Healy talked to Lindor, and he said that he had to come out of the game on Wednesday because he was scared he was either going to throw up or do number 2 at shortstop.
And shit in your pants would be a bad look in the white pants.
And someone responded, I think Joey Wendell made number 2 at shortstop instead, which he kind of did this series, and Monday was the start of that.
Yeah, he was playing third base on Monday. He was filling in for Beatty over at third, and there was a ground ball hit to him. There was, I believe, bases loaded. Guy on third breaks for home. He had him out by... It might not have been base load. It might have been first and third, actually.
Yeah, you need to be a tag.
Would have been a tag, but he had him out by 30 feet. I mean, it wasn't even close at the time where he got the ball where the guy was. Not even close. Decides to try and go for 2 instead. Of course, the Mets don't turn it. It ends up being the deciding run in this game, the only run in this game. And it was just one of those things where it's like...
Not the only run.
Well, I guess, technically not the only run, but the big run here for this one. It just made it a little bit more difficult for the team. And the frustrating thing with Joey Wendell is that he's supposed to be this heads-up player. He's supposed to be the good defensive guy, the guy who makes all these little plays, makes the right plays. And right now, he's just not doing it. And you said it in the offseason. You were not a huge fan of the Joey Wendell signing. I was okay with it just because it's $2 million, and it's like, whatever. He's probably better than Luis Guillorme, and I do stand by that. Luis Guillorme's not really doing much, and if you're going to pay either, whatever. But at the same time, the writing was on the wall. Like, he stunk with the Marlins last year. It's not like he had a great season, and we got, like, this, like, deal off the scrap heap. He really was someone that they jumped the gun on early. And unfortunately, the Mets just don't have the organizational depth right now to have anybody else play there because they still need someone who can play shortstop. God forbid something happens to Francisco Lindor, and that's what we saw. I mean, luckily it wasn't serious. He just has the flu. He's going to shit his pants. But if Joey Wendell's not on this team, who legitimately plays shortstop? There's nobody.
No one. It would be Jeff McNeil.
I don't want Jeff playing shortstop.
And then we actually traded Zach Short during the series.
Which is fine.
Yeah. So he's totally fine. And signed Mike Brosseau to take that, I think, 40-man spot. I'm not sure if he actually got a 40-man spot.
I'll check.
He's in the organization now. The only guy who would take this job is Jose Iglesias, who is hitting now a little bit better at AAA, but AAA is playing fake baseball with a fake baseball. So I don't know. He's probably maybe a little better than him. He might not be actually better than him, but I think just right now, that fact that Joey Wendell had the worst season of his career last year with the worst defensive metrics he's had in his career ever, and now he's kind of parlayed down to continuing to not be a stout defender like he was expected to be. And it's also funny, Mets fans, I got a lot of shit in the offseason because I said the one guy who I think fits that last roster spot the best was one Ahmed Rosario.
Yes.
Who it's a weird feeling for us because he was our top prospect and he left the team in disgrace. Not disgrace, but he left in Francisco Lindor trade, just never really realized his potential and wound up being traded, non-tendered, this and that. He's crushing the ball right now for the Tampa Bay Rays. He's not playing a lot of shortstop, but we know he can play shortstop, similar to Joey Wendell.
He would be a much more valuable player than Joey Wendell.
He would be like if Joey Wendell was faster, hit the ball harder, was more athletic, was younger. Everything that I wish Joey Wendell was.
Dominican Joey Wendell.
And again, like I still think Joey Wendell, everything David Stern said about him is positive, but it's just the fear of that, like, it seems like that the bounce back didn't happen. It probably won't happen. I don't know where the replacement for someone who can play fine middle infield comes from. Because his roster spot should be coming into question. But again, like Mark said, there's not really the organizational depth for push him out of it.
Yeah, until somebody makes that roster spot questionable, he's not going anywhere, which is unfortunate. I don't like saying that because, again, it's the guy's job. But, like, realistically, he's not adding anything to this team right now, and it's tough to see him go out there. There's different circumstances today. Had to play because of Lindor. Didn't end up hurting us, but his at-bats have been bad. He's been bad in the field. It's just not been a good season for Joey Wendell whatsoever.
No, that's kind of put this game to bed because then the end of the game, whatever.
Yeah, end of the game, whatever. All right, game 2.
92-mile-an-hour ball, guys.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Javier Sada versus Sean Manaea. This is just so funny. We always have these matchups once a week because the Mets have Manaea and Hauser in the rotation.
Quintana.
Yeah, and Quintana. They have a lot of guys who do not throw over 94 miles an hour, and every other team will have like 1 or 2 or 3 of these guys as well. So these guys get matched up as the best. I know listening to the show, Matt Eddy loves that too, but it's just so funny. These guys are just going back and forth, just little sinkers, little cutters, little tiny fastballs, little changes. I think it was the best Manaea's changeup looked all year, and he had to lean on it the most because the only lefty in the Cubs lineup was Mike Tauchman, so they really neutralized his sweeper, which has been a really good pitch for him. So it was just fastballs and changeups, high and low for Manaea, and it wound up being a pretty good outing for him. Another one of those weird games where he missed tons of bats. He had 16 swings and misses. He allowed, I think, 1 or no runs, trying to remember right now. But he also only had 3 or 4 strikeouts, and I think it was 4 walks and 3 strikeouts. So it's just like he was getting ahead of these guys, but he doesn't have that put-away pitch, which is kind of the thing with
especially
Manaea
against
always.
righties.
Yes, because we're relying on that changeup, and the changeup can get him strike 1, it can get him strike 2, but not great getting him strike 3. So then, especially when his slider and sweeper are neutralized. So still a good start, kept the runs off the board, and put the team in position to win the game, which is all you can ask.
Yeah, and luckily our king, DJ Stewart, came up to the plate. One thing you got to love about DJ Stewart, that dude does not get cheated when he comes up to the plate. And that's something that I think a lot of Mets players do get cheated with. There's some bad swings at times, but DJ Stewart, whether he hits the ball or he swings and misses, he's taking the same swing, and he's going for the fences. And luckily for us, he connected, hit a bomb up into the Coca-Cola corner in right field. It was just great. His stat line this year has been phenomenal, too. We were talking about it at the game today. Like, yeah, he's hitting 210, but he's a 380, 390 on-base percentage. I think he walked again in Game 4. He just is an on-base machine with some power. This is what we thought Daniel Vogelback was going to be.
It's kind of funny. I didn't even think about that. But it's also funny to, like, break down DJ Stewart's, like, what he's done this year and just take every stat individually. He has 4 home runs, 5 singles, 2 doubles, 14 RBIs, 15 walks.
Modern baseball, baby.
Yeah. 850 OPS, 3 of the on base. Like, that's the best we can ask for from a DH that is making no money at all and plays a few days a week and a left-handed batter.
Yeah, he's ready to play every single day. He has good at-bats. Like, I know in Game 3, he kind of had a weird one against Hector Neris where they had an opportunity to jump all over him. I think he came into pinch hit. And he just kind of got taken down 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
but
Game 1.
Yeah.
We forgot to talk about that decision. I think it's a little minutia that
yeah.
we'll talk about for a minute here, but I think it would have been a bigger story if we lost another game. We'd have spent more time on it because we had less fun things to talk about. But the fact that Mets pinch hit Stewart for Tyrone Taylor.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting because Tyrone Taylor's a guy who's kind of had a knack for the big hit this year. He's just been kind of hot even though he doesn't play very often. And at this time, DJ Stewart was on a bit of a colder streak. And I don't know anything about Tyrone Taylor's splits, but I just know the fact that Hector Neris has a pitcher who's a fastball splitter guy. Splitter's not really a pitch that has tremendous splits. Like, the reason the splitter's become such a popular pitch is because it's very effective against hitters from both sides of the plate. So I thought it was a little peculiar. I thought it was like a bit of overmanagement from Carlos Mendoza, who regardless still has an A on the season. He's still been sensational, everything he's done. But just, I thought it was a little bit of trying to do too much. Taking a guy who's cold off the bench to a guy who's warm on the field.
Yeah, I think it's, if you don't go to DJ Stewart there, you're saying, why don't you bring the lefty? If Tyrone Taylor gets out. If TJ Stewart gets a hit, masterclass.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where you probably just can't win, so you're just going to go with the numbers, and I'm assuming the numbers said for them, let's get the lefty up. And DJ Stewart is rocking a 380 on base. Like,
he
at
is.
the absolute worst for a guy who was struggling with control at the time, too. Maybe we get a walk out of it from him.
Yeah, not wrong. Yeah, just a little thing I want to talk about for 30 seconds. Little tiny decisions.
But we love DJ.
Yeah, love DJ. Still love Mendoza. Just keeping track of everything.
Yeah, Mendoza's been great. Game 3 now, moving on. We're moving through these games quickly here. Jose Budo, man. When are we going to start having the conversation that he's just, like, a good pitcher?
I mean, I think the conversation's been had in this show for a very long time, but I've been telling you guys, I think just every single time he's on the mound, every single thing he does, I think it's just a little more proof that he is actually quite good. And this star is another one of it. This, to me, is going to sound weird maybe because it wasn't like a start where he looked the best, or it wasn't a start he was in the most control, it wasn't a start where he missed the most bats. But to me, this was, I think, his most impressive start to date. Because I think this start laid a really good foundation to how he takes his next step and how he becomes like a true, like mainstay in this rotation. Like how he becomes this generation's G, Nice, even with a little bit more flair on top of them.
Dylan
like,
G and John
that's
Nice.
just becoming
Don't
like,
start talking to me like that.
I'm saying like becoming a guy who like, okay, for the next 4 years, we could be like, this is a guy in our rotation who doesn't cost any money, who we can rely on to be efficient. We can rely on him to be effective. And we know that what we're going to get every time out. These are the kind of guys
Those 6 innings every time.
These are the kind of guys that are on winning baseball teams, especially teams that wind up making the playoffs through the season. Because again, you bring them up through your system. They're guys that everybody loves. They're guys that work really hard.
Throw them to the bullpen in the playoffs.
Throw them to the bullpen in the playoffs will be awesome. But again, the thing that he did here was 2 things. One, nice bounce back because last 2 starts weren't very good. Last 2 starts, he had command issues. He had some home run issues. It was definitely his worst 2 starts since he came back to the rotation late last season.
Yeah.
But the other thing that he did, which is amazing, because Budo was a guy who has 4 weapons as his pitches. He has a fastball, he has a changeup, he has a sinker, and he has a slider, and he also has a sweeper. The sweeper's still not really there yet, but it's on the way. And none of them are really elite. The changeup is very good, doesn't get graded very well, but misses the most bats. Slider's good, the fastball's fine, the sinker's fine. What he did was he put all those 4 pitches in a cornucopia, and he mixed them all pretty evenly.
Good word.
So hitters weren't really knowing what was coming out. He threw 24 fastballs, 23 changeups, 22 sinkers, 20 sliders, and then 6 sweepers. And it wasn't really very dissimilar to how he was attacking the lefties and the righties in this one. We've talked about that with his changeup being a pitch that can work against both sides because it doesn't have a lot of fade on it, just kind of more of a straight up and down. It almost acts more like a splitter.
Yeah.
But I know he grips it and has intent to throw it more like a changeup. But having all that feel for those 4 pitches, there's another start where I thought his command wasn't even great either. It was his lowest zone rate so far this season. Only 35% of his pitches were in the strike zone. But he just got a lot of chases, and he was really good at picking off edges, especially with that slider and changeup, especially to righties. And it was just each of those pitches had 6 whiffs. They're definitely his 2 best pitches, especially in terms of off speed. Only 3 hard hit balls for the Cubs in total. It was just he got burned by the bottom of the order. That Mervis double, the wild pitch, and the Pico Armstrong sac fly. But it was a game where he went toe-to-toe with the person who's pitching literally the best in baseball right now, Shota Imanaga. True ace-off. I told you guys about Shota in the offseason. Mark was way wrong about that one.
I got to be a hater. We can't just agree on everything. I have to hate sometimes.
But just very cool to see him do that in that game against a lineup that's been hitting well, use some new wrinkles, attack hitters in some new ways, and just be a pitcher that was mostly unpredictable, and guys couldn't really figure it out in the Cubs. Even when he didn't have good command, only 35% of his pitches were in the strike zone. The Cubs still couldn't touch him, and he wasn't walking guys either. I think just 1 walk.
That's how my dad was describing the game to me, because we were obviously at trivia, so we were catching some highlights here and there. Didn't get to see every pitch, last night until this morning. And my dad was like, he was kind of a little all over the place, but he was in control all over the place. He bulldogged a little bit.
And the best thing about Budo is that he seems to have this kind of innate sense in him, which I love with pitchers, where if things are getting tough, he knows how to respond to the moment. So, like, when he would fall behind the count, he would make a pitch. When he had a 2-2 pitch, he would make a pitch. And it was just, like, that kind of sense that he has is, like, this is going to be our mid-rotation king, and I'm really confident in him every single time he's out there.
Love Jose Budo. Of course, we didn't hit Shota Imanaga. He was disgusting. He dominated the hitters.
I want to give some flowers to him because he's become one of the best pitchers in baseball right now. Through the first 6 starts of a major league career, he has the 2nd lowest ERA ever.
Only behind Fernando Valenzuela.
Yes, Fernando Mania. So the Showtime Mania, 0.78 versus 0.33, which 0.33 to 6 starts.
That's so gross.
And I think he was, 21 years old? 22 years old?
He was a little different.
Showtime's a man. He's been pitching professionally for a decade now. But also, Shota Imanaga, more wins than earned runs allowed.
Wow.
5 versus 3.
It's almost as many wins as the Chicago White Sox. Almost as many. Well, it's tied for as many wins as Reed Garrett.
Tied for as many wins as Reed Garrett. So ties him for a maybe league lead. It might be 2nd now, but Minter has 5 wins too. Is
it really?
I can't wait for a reliever to lead the league in wins. It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna break people's fucking brains.
Incredible.
It's gonna destroy their brains. But yeah, we just didn't hit. The bullpen did well. Ottavino hasn't allowed a hit since Riley Green home run, which is crazy because I chastised them for that.
It was 4 countries ago for me.
Yeah, you were. Where were you?
I was in Italy then.
Italy then. He's been great. Diekman's still been really good. Like, this bullpen's been locked down, especially with Drew Smith and Brooks Raley both on the IL. 2 things I think can't be understated. We're missing 2 of our biggest arms, and the bullpen's held it together.
Now, some really cool stats about the bullpen this game as well before we get to all the nonsense in the 9th inning. Diekman was the only reliever yesterday for the Mets in 4 innings of relief total to gut down 1-0 in a count.
Wow.
The only reliever, and did exactly 1 time to throw first pitch ball in a count. And 2-1 was the most behind in a count any reliever was yesterday at all. We have the best whip for any bullpen in the National League. We have the best earned run average for any bullpen in the National League. We have the best opponent's batting average. And we have the best earned run average by over 1/2 of a run. And the best stuff. Plus, the best strikeout rate. This bullpen was built by David Stearns, for David Stearns, in his image. We told you guys about it. We spent hours and hours and hours and hours in January and February.
Sound like Dabo.
Right?
We play in this program in God's image and likeness.
Don't do that. But we talked about this bullpen way too much in the offseason, but this is why. Because Jorge Lopez is a 1.6 ERA. Alvino hasn't given up a hit in a month. Like, these guys are balling right now, and this is even in a world where Edwin Diaz still isn't peak Edwin Diaz. And, like, we don't know I think that guy's coming, but it's still not happening a little bit right now. He gave up the big home run that we just refused to talk about, the Christopher Morel in this series.
I was so right about
Mark
Christopher Morel.
called it 2 big home runs this series.
So
Everyone
right.
blame Mark for that one because he's an asshole. But it's amazing what this bullpen's doing right now. Rigard's a big part of it. Diaz a big part of it. Hefner, Stearns, and all these other guys who are pitching so well every single night. Diekman, Lopez, Smith and Raley when they're healthy. Ottavino, of course.
Danny Young today
got to win his first Major League appearance. But just amazing what these guys are doing as a collective unit right now. The backbone of this team.
Let's talk about that 9th inning, though.
Yeah.
We have Pete Alonso on third base. Get a little rally going. Sac fly hit the left field by Jeff McNeil. And Pete Alonso thrown out at the plate. I mean, you guys have saw the play. You've seen it on Twitter. You've seen the discourse. The big argument here is not whether or not that Pete touched home plate. I think we all can agree he did not touch home plate.
Did not.
Missed it. I don't know how he did it.
Can't believe he missed
No
it.
clue. It's Pete Alonso. He's going to do some things that make you scratch your head sometimes. But the conversation was whether or not Miguel Amaya was blocking the plate. Now, from a catcher perspective, he did a beautiful job. That was about as well as you could have blocked the plate the appropriate way. The problem lies where the rule is for Major League Baseball. And the way that the rule is written, one, is unbelievably vague.
Yeah.
And two, it's subjective. And I can't wrap my head around the idea of having subjective rules. It's not really a rule then. It's more of a, hey, what do you think? What's your opinion on what just happened?
And especially the fact that we wound up with one of the longest reviews that I think anyone has seen since we started doing replay in baseball for, 6-7 years now?
Yeah.
It took minutes and minutes. People in the ballpark were literally like, it was funny. I think Cespedes Barbecue was there. A friend Nick Pollock was there. Like, well, literally, what the hell is going on right now? How can this not be resolved? And then when the call was made that he did not block the plate, Carlos Mendoza came out and we had a hot mic on him. It was the best Mets hot mic moment in a decade, in 8 years since Terry Collins. And he literally was telling the guy, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, that's bullshit. He was like, tell me the problem. And the umpire said, take it up to the league office.
And he's not, the umpire in that scenario is not wrong. Like, the umpire, but the problem was, and I love that Carlos Mendoza said this, he was like, yeah, but you guys made the out call, though, on the field.
Yeah.
He was like, that's where I have the problem with you. That's where the beef is, because if you called, it was the unfortunate case of if he was called safe on the field because of blocking the plate, he's going to be safe upon replay review. But because he was called out, it was later nor confirmed or denied that he didn't block the plate or whatever the stupid fucking shit is that they were talking about. But Carlos Mendoza specifically had beef because he said that there was a memo sent out by Major League Baseball during spring training with images of what exactly you could and could not do when blocking the plate.
I will push back and say the images that were sent, Andy Martino went super viral because, again, he's a whiny bitch, and he was talking about these images, sent them out. He sent the actual memo that was sent out, which I don't know why he has that memo. Do reporters get that memo?
I mean, he could have asked Carlos Mendoza for it.
Yeah, he might have asked Carlos Mendoza for it. I can't believe that schemy little bastards and all these fucking
tip the cap.
peoples. Yeah,
tip the cap.
He's done a great job. Great career for Andy Martino. Eats big, beautiful sandwiches in the press box, in the press room before the game. He's a monster.
Spends less money at the stadium than me.
Sure, I mean, me especially. Not probably same as me. But the fact that all the pictures that people were showing were not things that Miguel Amaya was doing. And because the pictures were, you have to have a foot in front of the plate or you have to be in the inside of the baseline, straddling the plate. Those are the things that are technically not allowed. And knowing the verbiage of it, it says you can't be on the plate. But
Miguel Amaya was on the plate. There is no doubt.
Standing fully on the plate. But in the pictures that they're showing, which the thing that was going viral that everyone was complaining about was like, this isn't what he was doing. And what he was doing is he was more behind the plate and he was kind of playing it with the play. I still thought I did a great job. I don't really have an issue with it.
Anybody who's ever caught would be like, that's a beautiful job. That's
Great.
Like, you couldn't catch the ball, drop the knee as well as he did there. It was perfectly timed, well executed. But the issue lies, again, it's the rules. It's the rules of how this home plate blocking thing, because Buster Posey broke his leg. This is where it all comes back to.
And Heim last year.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I mean, he's just an example, but I'm saying the rules because Buster Posey snapped his leg. But the Jonah Heim play is not the same. As much as I wish it was, it's not the same. The only beef that the Mets really have is that the rule does say about being on home plate, and Miguel Amaya was for sure on home plate. Now, the conversation was also that the front corner of the plate was technically open for that, but then this leads into all these other stupid discussions and problems.
It's just that literally Pete Alonso was blocked from touching home plate by the catcher's leg, and that's supposed to be what the rule doesn't allow. So that was the question.
Until you have the ball.
Yes.
Once you have the ball, it's allowed, but it happened in a way where he technically was blocking it before he had the ball. And again,
swift motion.
If this rule wasn't there, the Mets would have no problem with this whatsoever because it's good baseball at the end of the day. But because the rule is in place and because it is subjective, the Mets have legitimate beef here because there have been plenty of times we've been called for stupid shit. I mean, Francisco Lindor and Jeff McNeil on stolen bases to second have been called for blocking the base.
Yeah. I think also this, luckily, like the fact that we won an exciting game
helped
on Thursday helps a lot. And also the fact that, like you said, like this isn't, It wasn't bad baseball. It was good baseball. It was a play that was made by
it wasn't dirty.
A good player. And also, a lot of credit to Ian Happ and Nick Madrigal, because I think he made the cutoff or whoever. Maybe,
yes.
Yeah, it was just, you don't really often see, and this is, I mean, it's got a bit of a shot at Pete Alonso for running like a bit of an oath, but like, you don't often see a cutoff throw come to home plate and actually work, especially that close, because usually if a cutoff comes to home plate, it's the shortstop out in the short outfield, like making a big-time throw, but it was right there. That was a strike. Both guys made perfect throws. Need to be a perfect play. Still, when you look at the replay, like from the outfielder's perspective, can't believe
it
that Pete was thrown out because he was like 9 feet from home plate when Madrigal had the ball in his hands. But it's hats off to the Cubs. We got some great, again, I almost think the baseball god smiled on us with Starling Marte today, throwing out 2 base runners at home plate in extra innings himself. It was a weird play. It was funny that, like, so often that the Mets can capture the whole baseball media's world in a moment in time, and they did it again, and they do it again, and they do it again, and they do it again. We get clicks. We know that, but crazy moment in time, crazy way to end the game. But at the end of the day, you also can't be that mad because how the fuck do you win a baseball game with no runs?
0 runs.
Doesn't matter.
That's the story at the end of the
day. It's not the umpire's fault that the Mets got shut out. It's the Mets' fault they got shut out.
Swing the bat. Like, yes, Shota Imanaga's a good pitcher. We know that. But swing the bat, please. Like, put some balls in play. Get something going hard. Hold on, I got to answer this. The front door here. We're ordering food. Wow.
We got to get to the next game.
We got to get to the next game tonight. 9 o'clock. Big game. Jack Dempsey's.
But again, now just moving on Thursday, get through this so we can start talking about the fun stuff. Christian Scott.
Yeah.
A game that felt so awful. Ben Brown was dealing.
Awful.
Adrian Hauser gave up the huge home run to
so
Christopher
negative.
Morel. Yeah,
I was so negative to start the game.
I had a half a mind. I was like, oh my God, maybe we should get out of here. You know, it was 6th inning, but like, this sucks. But I'll never leave a game early. Super happy we stayed. Got down the field level, which was great. And the comeback was awesome. And it all started by Mr. Flu Game, Francisco Lindor.
Yes, sir.
Came out of the game on Wednesday. I've never seen more tweets about the same thing in my entire life. Every single person who's involved with Mets Twitter. We had all the heads. We had Martino. We had Michael Mayer. We had Healy. We had Britton. We had Disha. We had Tacoma. We had Gelbs. Every single person. We had all the networks. We had SNY.
Ragazzo.
Everybody. Ragazzo. Everyone was like, still Francisco Lindor. Flu-like symptoms. Out of the game. And I get it's such a big deal because he doesn't miss games ever.
No.
And even it's hilarious that as he basically said after the game that he was concerned about either throwing up on the field or shitting his pants, that he still managed to be in both games, to still work toward the 162. We know he's so proud of at the end of every year.
Yeah, I mean, Lindor really did turn this game around because the Mets started to rally in what was it, the 5th inning against Ben Brown.
It was his first at bat.
Yeah, first at bat. And it was funny because at that point, Ben Brown had been throwing a no-hitter going into that game.
Yes.
And I think I had a conversation with you. I'm like, it looks like the Mets don't even know what he throws. Like, they look unprepared for what he's bringing to the plate. And can you grab that food for us? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Levon.
Thank you, Levon. We're not editing that out. It's staying in there. But once they were able to get to Ben Brown, the game really did turn around because the Cubs put up that 3 spot with the Christopher Morel home run. Then the Mets got 2 back that inning. Cubs got 1 more in the 6th, which was just a little frustrating. But then, because that was the Jeff McNeil Marte in between, ended up being a double.
Yeah.
They came back with 3.
I know.
And it was like, okay, like there's some life in this team. They got some hits. I mean, you had 2 doubles from Francisco Lindor today. Nimmo got the double late in the game. You had 4 RBIs from Francisco Lindor off the bench in Joey Wendell's spot. Shout out to him. Shout out to Carlos Mendoza as well, putting him in the game too.
Oh, wait, so I think Lindor actually was the 6th inning then, not the 5th inning, because he's got the 2 RBI double, then he scored the run that tied the game.
I believe this double would have been, or these RBIs would have been Nimmo, I think.
Yes. Okay, yeah, good call. Yeah, we're running back through, rehashing through. But just every single time it feels like this Mets team is either falling out, or again, today was going to be falling below 500. They're just not playing well. They have, where'd he go? Take it. I'm going to go look for him. Go find him. But just they have this innate ability as a team. We kind of talk about the fact that they fight, the fact they have this energy inside them. They never actually totally fall down. Or every time it seems like something really horrible is going to happen with them. Is he not there? He's not here? No. Where could he have gone? Oh, thank God. All right. All right, he's there. But the food's not here. Okay, you got it. Come back. But just anytime we think this is going to get really bad and kind of fall out of favor, they come back. They won't die. And even extra innings, the fact that Marte threw the first guy at home, and we have the greatest thing with the new rule in baseball, where you're the home team, and all you need is 1 run to win the game.
Yes.
You have a better 50% chance of attaining that with the man second base, nobody out. Found a way to blow that. Found a way to give up a run. The first pitch of the 11th inning.
A double to Nick Madrigal, which is like,
a little bloop shot double. But then that'd be the only run to score because Starling Marte makes another heroic throw. And in a point now in a week where he's had his worst week offensively of the year. Makes 2 of the best defensive plays that we've seen by Mets players this season, basically. Yeah. Also, Brett Beatty, another amazing day at third base.
Played really well.
It was a play that kind of saved Adrian Hauser's day where there were a couple men on base, and I think it was the 3rd inning.
Oh, yeah.
And he made a diving in the hole, started the double play. It's just
good throw from Jeff.
And we even heard David Stearns mentioned on Monday he had some media availability, the press conference, that the big reason that Bailey is still the everyday third baseman is now defense, which the bizarre world that we're living in, where Brett Bailey is a plus defensive third baseman, and he still he had 2 walks today, but still some bad at-bats late, some bad strikeouts. That OPS is sinking like a stone.
He had some good foul ball home runs, though.
2 foul ball home runs today,
Mets
1 foul ball
3.
home run. Yeah, well, he had 2 himself, and then he also had 1 yesterday, foul ball home run by Brett Bailey.
And Lindor had or was it Lindor or DJ? Or no, it was McNeil. McNeil had the foul ball home run. I'm telling you right now, the Mets hit the most foul ball home runs in the league. It's not even close.
It's funny because I don't know if Baseball Savant has made the change to add foul balls into exit velocity, but Jeff McNeil's foul ball home run today was his hardest hit ball this year by 4 miles an hour, 106 off the bat. So I really hope that goes in the ledger. But just a beautiful comeback. Starling Marte, Francisco Lindor being the hero, 4 RBIs off the bench in his flu game. Amazing way to end this homestand because it was kind of a hot and cold homestand. Hot and cold since that Giant series when we were playing after we had the series in L.A. That game in L.A. they lost 10-0 really just whopped us right back into coherence, into being a 500 team.
You are the New York Mets.
But similar to some of these other series we played against National League teams, the Cubs are a team we're going to be directly competing with.
Feel very comparable to them.
They're going to be in a dogfight with the Brewers and Reds all season for that division, and the Pirates if they ever call up Paul Skeens. But it's just they're a team that's going to be fighting for a playoff spot the whole season. It feels like we are similar to them.
Yeah.
I don't feel overmatched at all playing them.
Not even in the slightest. I'd love to play them in the playoffs.
Yeah, but just
love to get there.
Again, love to get there. But nice to split that series with a team in the National League we're competing with and just get out of there, again, as a split, because we didn't play that well for most of these games, and move on to the next.
Shout out Danny Young. Got his first major league win today. Almost was a sleeper cell. Didn't realize he pitched for the Braves. Could have done his best Michael Tonkin impression and given up a lead in extras. But luckily, Danny Young's built different. He actually wants to be on this team. Tonkin, is on the Yankees now, right?
Already DFA'd.
Wow.
Yes, he again came into extra innings, gave up 2 unearned runs, and was DFA'd again.
He's going to be on the Braves, and he's going to get big outs against the Mets this year. You heard it here.
Or he might be coming back to the Mets. Who knows what's going to happen?
Because
we now have to send somebody down because our boy, Mike King, Christian Scott, leaked by Kylie McDaniel during the game. 10 minutes, like Mark said at the top of the show, after the Christopher Morel home run. He's coming up to the major leagues. He's going to pitch on Saturday. Talked about him so much with you guys this show, so I don't even think I have to tell you guys anymore.
No, we could just talk about how excited we are for Christian Scott.
Totally, but again, some of the new people here. He's throwing 93 to 96. He's topping out 97, 98. He's got a new sweeper that's awesome this year. It sweeps right across the zone. That comes in low 80s. He has a gyro slider that he learned from Max Scherzer originally years ago when he was still at the University of Florida. That's a high 80s pitch. And he's got a nice split changeup that also comes in mid to high 80s. He's a beast on the mound. He works quickly. He has great extension. He has a really flat release angle to get life on that fastball. He's the best pitching prospect the Mets are going to have debut in a decade. Steven Matz is the last time that a pitching prospects have as much fanfare as Christian Scott will have these next few games.
Yeah, I mean, he's hyped. And the fact that it's happening in Tampa might not be the worst thing either. There's going to be no fans there. There's going to be... Is he from Florida, Christian Scott?
I don't know I think he is from Florida,
Let's see where he's from.
But it's funny because I'm looking at their notes now that I wrote this morning for this podcast, and Jeremy Hefner in media availability.
Coconut Creek, that's Miami, so it's not local Tampa, but it's closer than New York.
High school Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
Nice. But
Calvary Christian, powerhouse. We've talked about that before.
Hell yeah. But it's funny that a couple days ago, I think it might have actually been Wednesday, in his media availability, Jeremy Hefner said that Christian Scott's, we're going to build him up like Reed Garrett, which is huge for my Reed Garrett starting pitching agenda. But he said the time will come. And he just had another minor league start this week where it's funny that he missed the least bats he's had, and then he started AAA this year, but also gave up exactly 1 home run and 2 hits and 1 in a run because that's what he does. But it just back-to-back starts against the same AAA team, the Columbus Clippers, which have Kyle Manzardo, who's probably the best hitter in AAA right now in general. But he was throwing a lot of changeups, which, again, I think that was the Mets directive. Like, we want to see, if this changeup is ready, you think you're a major league pitcher. Baseball America also, because now they're doing monthly updates, which is so cool for prospect lists. That's the thing that most prospect lists miss. I mean, we love Fangraphs, we love Prospectus, but they don't update very often. MLB Pipeline updates once every 3 to 4 years. But the fact that Baseball America is doing every single month. Christian Scott, in a month of AAA data, went from number 100 to number 62.
Yep.
It's a really relevant jump, and now he's coming up to the major leagues, and I'm really excited about it.
So excited. Going to be locked into sports on Saturday. Hopefully the Knicks win Game 6 here.
It's going to sound bad if they don't.
I know. Hopefully they win Game 6. We don't have to worry about it. You can be a hater. That's fine. I think
Scott Foster is the extender.
Scott Foster's going to help us out. He bleeds orange and blue. I'm telling you. Scott Foster's a Knicks fan. But if we got Christian Scott and Knicks going on at the same time.
I know. Actually, I don't know if it's Saturday for the Mets, a day game or a night game. But also relevant to the Christian Scott call-up. Carlson Miller said the team's going to work on a 6-man rotation.
That's what I was going to bring up.
So Luis Severino is going to move back to pitch on Sunday, and then that puts Scott on track to make his first home start next Friday night City
Friday
Field.
or Saturday. It's one of the two.
It'd be Friday because 6-man rotation. Oh, they have an off day.
Yeah,
Thursday.
they have an off day.
Oh, so it'd be Saturday. Okay, but next weekend against the Atlanta Braves.
Which, I mean, talk about throwing a kid into the fire.
Yeah.
Christian Scott, you like pitching the majors? Well, guess what? Now you have to face the best lineup in baseball.
Yeah, but honestly, I kind of like it because we've been telling you guys this. I've been saying it. True talent, Christian Scott might be the best starting pitcher in this organization. And if not, right now, that's healthy. If not, he's second best behind Luis Severino. And also, we're getting some Kodai. We're personally going to get a rehab appearance soon.
Ooh.
We had him throw a bullpen session on Monday in City Field in the City Connect jersey. So we could be looking at, like we've been saying all along, early June, which is best case scenario for Kodai, which would be amazing. And
depending on Christian Scott pitches, if he pitches well, Nihao to Adrian Hauser. But if he's not pitching that well, you can send him back down, get him back going. I hope he makes Adrian Hauser Nihao.
I don't know if he has options. Check on Fangraphs. Hauser has options, but I'm sure they move him to the bullpen to be the swing guy because we also have. We've had some good, we've had some good rehab appearances by both David Peterson and Tyler McGill. So suddenly, and Joey Lucchesi keeps pitching well in AAA.
Really well. Joey Lucchesi's only really ever pitched well as a Met.
I know. So suddenly we have a situation where this never happened, Mets fans. I'm going to say Sanders, you guys never heard
no
before.
options for Adrian Hauser.
Okay, so he's not going to the major leagues. We almost have too much pitching, guys.
Don't say those words.
I'm saying we have a lot of guys right now. We got a lot of guys. It's going to be crowded in this rotation. So again, these guys are probably have bullpen spots besides for Dedniel Nunez and Danny Young. But it's great.
Shintaro Fujinami?
Yeah, dude, he's not finding strikes. He looks horrible in Syracuse. It's my bad, guys. Hand up on that one.
But you know what? He was free.
And I think he might come around in July or something. Just be good again.
Get some big outs.
Yeah, he still throws 100 miles an hour. We're still waiting for that first 100, guys. We're still waiting for that first 100.
Edwin's got up to what, 97, 98?
98 is his max. I think we're like 700 days. I think we're like 500 something days.
It's gonna be a hot June where Severino just touches 99.8.
No, but that doesn't count. Doesn't count. Now we're going to get the 100. But again, I don't even know how much more to say about Christian Scott besides everything we've said for the last couple of months.
And we're excited.
Besides that, we're really fucking excited. And this, again, this is something that, like Mets fans, we should be proud of this moment. Be happy for this. This is the first real pitching prospect in a decade.
Circle the date.
We did it. We're back. We made it. And we're going to have the pitching lab's going to keep moving. So now we're going to do a prospect report. And I got a lot of pitchers to talk about it again. Not really a lot this time. Actually, just like 3 or 4. But it's just, we keep grinding, guys. We're becoming nationally known for having pitching prospects in minor league, which is crazy.
Pitching lab, Eric Yeagers.
Jonah Tong got called up to Brooklyn, made his first start there today. I had the stats. Go on Twitter right now. Grab Jonah Tong from today. But he'd made one other start in St. Lucie since last. But the crazy thing is he had the day game start in Brooklyn today.
Here we go.
And
5 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 7 Ks, 81 pitches. He's yet to allow a run through 23 and 2/3 innings this season and has struck out 43 batters.
Yes, top 5 strikeout rate in all of the minor leagues. Minor League Baseball official tweeted about Jonah Tong today. MLB Pipeline tweeted about Jonah Tong today. I had a bit of a conversation argument with my boy TJ Stats and a guy Ben Ali Parat. I don't know. He used to work in front offices, but he does prospect stuff right now. He's big data guy, and it was about basically the fact that there's claim for Jonah Tong to be the 4th best pitching prospect in baseball.
Whoa.
Yes, behind Skeens, Job, Scott. Tong.
Wow.
Yes. That was a conversation.
Let's could have 2 of the top 5.
They could have 2 of the top 5 because again, they're in the lower minors right now. Kind of everything you do in the lower minors is a little bit of bullshit. But the fact that he has a 50% strikeout rate nearly and is still not allowed to run, it's hard to find. And he's still like a young kid, so he still has a projectable frame. And he's getting these fastball whiffs. Talked about you guys last episode. One of the highest fastball whiff rates in everyone in the minor league. So that we have StatCast on, which is low A and AAA. And the crazy 20 IVB. He hasn't even grown to his body yet. So what if Jonah Tong's 93, 94 becomes 96, 97, just like Christian Scott?
And then you're like, oh, fuck.
Then we have a beast. Then we have maybe a potential frontline star there again. So it's just everything his pitching lab is doing amazing.
Get some protein in that kid.
Yeah, the other guy we got to talk about, I know you're going to do the hitting today, but I want to talk about Nolan McLean because
go for it, yeah.
He hit his 3rd home run of the year for Brooklyn. He's got a 50% strikeout rate and an 850 OPS in high A right now, which is ridiculous.
Nolan Ohtani,
820 OPS. Whole world's getting hit to him. Everyone's been tweeting about him. If you guys are in deep dynasty leagues, you got like 40-man rosters, pick him up because I started doing it. And just another nice little start, shorty but a goodie last week in Brooklyn. 3 innings, 2 strikeouts, 1 hit, 1 walk, only 37 pitches. Probably trying to save the arm a little bit. Still working, becoming a starter for the first time. But he's becoming one of the most interesting, exciting prospects. Any position, any team, the whole major leagues.
Anytime you hit and pitch. And, I mean, he has a 50% K rate, so it's the hitting is, kind of with quotation marks, but he's hitting home runs. And he's doing it in Brooklyn, which we know is not the easiest place to hit. Like, really impressive stuff from Nolan McLean. He's looked phenomenal. And we have a max exit velocity, courtesy of Joe DeMato on him from the FCL backfields, I think during the spring, at 113 miles an hour. It's way harder than Nolan Arenado's ever hit a ball. Way harder than Nolan Arenado's ever hit a baseball, which is pretty good because Nolan Arenado's pretty good. Not everything, but just
we got stuff right now. Then you want to take your boy right there? I got notes
Yeah,
on?
of course. Blade had his best appearance of the season. 6 2/3, 9 Ks, 1 earned run, 2 hits, 2 walks. ERA is down to 1.35 in Binghamton, and he's just doing that thing. And I think this might work for Blade because I think we've known from conversations we have with people, he's not a big like all eyes on me personality.
Nah.
Doesn't really care about being on the cameras. Just wants to play baseball, pitch. He's Blade Tidwell. I mean, you could get that from the name. It's just he's a country boy. And I think what's going on with him is really cool is that he's being really, really good, but he's almost being slept on because the Mets have more exciting players that you didn't necessarily know their names of right now, like a Jonah Tong, like Nolan McLean hitting and pitching, even Christian Scott getting the call up, where Blade Tidwell's been one of the best minor league pitchers or best pitchers in minor league baseball as well this year, but you just don't hear it because of all the other hype of the guys. I love what he's doing. Again, was my favorite pitcher in that draft class, and that's got him in the second round. Just an absolute masterclass.
Yeah, and again, that 1.35 ERA is one of the lowest in all of the upper minors. It's just he's just pitching well. He kind of feels like to me another guy that winds up coming to this team and being mid-rotation stalwart, guy who could just pitch and pitch and pitch, horse. I'm
not going to say he's not like Jordan Montgomery, but the idea, I think, to me is that like just big dude is going to come out and give you 6 innings. And like there's going to be a couple years where he has a 3.5 ERA. There's going to be a couple years he has a 4. But like at the end of the day, you're going to have reliable innings with some good stuff, and you're not going to be like, oh shit, here is Jared Eichhoff.
And again, he's very cerebral on the mound, something we've talked about a lot. He has 6 different pitches, sometimes 7 that he'll use per his starts, and he'll be able to mix and match them into matchups, into games, whatever he's feeling, whatever he's not feeling. So it's kind of like if Jordan Montgomery and like Yu Darvish like kind of the mind melded for a moment, where he still gets that good velocity, but it's not elite. He is a big boy, but he's not a lefty, and he can just throw a lot of stuff at you, and some of it's going to stick, and you're not really going to know what's coming.
I wonder, because I see the other names that you have listed here as prospect arms that are doing crazy stuff. You want to read them out real quick before I give my opinion. But
yeah, I'll do one. Just again, we're going to shout out a few guys really briefly because we wanted to focus on Christian Scott a lot for this prospect report, but Austin Trosser, the Missouri guy we've talked about a lot, who just has crazy growth spurt, went from throwing 90 to 100 and during his time in college. Another great appearance for Port St. Lucie, 9 strikeouts and 4 2/3 innings. Wyatt Hudapole, our boy.
Shout out the Hudapole family.
Shout out the Hudapoles. Love the Hudapoles. Charlotte baseball all the way. 8 strikeouts and 5 innings for St. Lucie. And then someone who I have never heard of in my life.
No.
Someone who has one of the coolest names I've ever heard in my life. Ernesto Mercedes. Another member of Port St. Lucie. 4 innings, 10 strikeouts his last appearance.
Yeah.
That piggybacked David Peterson's rehab start.
Where I was going to go with this off the Blade thing is I wonder if the Mets, in their evaluation of players too, are looking for guys that are sponges, like a Christian Scott, like a Blade Tidwell, like a Jonah Tong, guys who are going to be able to make those adjustments. Because, of course, there are guys that are coming out of college who probably have better stuff, coming out of high school who probably have better stuff. But one thing that has made this Mets pitching lab different, and stuff that you've seen with the Rays and the Dodgers and the teams that have been successful with it in the past,
Reds,
is the
Guardians.
ability to adapt. It's not just getting them and making their stuff that they have better. Guys are learning new pitches. Guys are being told to do different things than they've been comfortable with. And seemingly the transition has been easy and smooth.
There's something I've heard Kyle Body talk about, who is the founder of Driveline, former pitching coordinator for the Reds, current pitching coordinator, assistant pitching coordinator. Yeah. For I think Eric Yeagers is his protege for the Red Sox. But I know Eric Yeagers came from that early iteration of Driveline as well. But Body talked specifically when he was the one who was kind of helping to craft their 2020 draft class. You remember some of the pitchers the Reds took in 2020? Top of your head? Because I can't remember, but I know we talked about someone specifically where he said that.
Did they say Christian Roa? Or
I don't know.
Minnesota? I'll look at it.
But he was talking specifically about getting guys in your organization who are going to be cerebral, who are ready and capable of learning new things, and the ability to learn new pitches. I've heard people say that like the biggest ability a pitcher can have is learning a new pitch, and there's some pitchers that just simply have it, and some pitchers that just simply don't, which is a weird thing to think about, but it's just being able to...
Christian Roa, that's
Christian Roa, yeah. But is there anyone else there?
Bryce Bonnin.
Oh, Joe Boyle. I think it was specifically about Joe Boyle.
Okay.
Taking like a high upside arm who need to be worked with, but was willing to be clay that could be
major leaguer right now.
Exactly. And it happened pretty quickly.
Christian Roa will be a major leaguer as well.
Another good pitcher. But it's just the fact that being able to learn and being able to apply the things you learn is a skill. Like that's something that not everyone has, and a lot of people want, and probably something that will help you get to the major leagues and become more successful sooner. So maybe that is something the Mets have taken into their process of player development here and their process of scouting and analysis, because it does seem like all these guys who come into this Mets team are willing to accept the data, are willing to accept the training. A lot of these guys are learning new pitches on the fly. Scott, Tidwell, all these guys have done this. Budo even, he's someone who was a holdover but still in the organization already. Like, they're learning new things. They're quickly applying them in games, and they're able to use them well almost immediately.
Guys are buying in. I like that. That's something that
organizational.
Is always smart and great to hear. Now, on the offensive side of things, we're going to give you some different names. We're not going to necessarily talk about any of the big ones. Ryan Clifford's going to be the biggest one here. But I want to talk about Christopher Suero with you guys. From the Bronx, 20 years old, 5'11", 200 pounds. He's been raking in Port St. Lucie. From the Bronx. He's a Bronx kid. Raking in Port St. Lucie. Raked in the FCL last year, which is the complex league, the rookie league. And what's interesting about him is he's playing first base catcher in left field in Port St. Lucie. That's an interesting combo of positions where they want to get that bat in the lineup, it seems like, any way possible, and they're trying to figure out what the position is going to be best for him. He got up to 108 miles per hour in spring training this year, which is really big for a 20-year-old. And right now, 319 average, 447 on base, 522 slugging with a 186 WRC plus and a 203 ISO. The dude is just absolutely smacking the ball. And from the few clips that I have seen of him, really nice compact swing, gets to the ball quickly. A lot of good things out of him for a guy that you probably haven't heard of before today with Christopher Suero.
No, totally. I had never heard of him before today. I'm looking for some hitter stats on my Twitter, but you keep going.
Nick LaRusso is another guy. He was a 9th-round pick out of Maryland last year. Fun fact, he drove in 100 RBIs at Maryland in the 2023 season. Not many people in college have ever done that, so dude just mashes. He plays first base and third base. He's currently in Brooklyn. He is a little bit technically old for the level, 23 years old. 22 is kind of the average age in Brooklyn, but whatever. Hitting 295 with a 375 on base, 541 slugging, 916 OPS, 2 home runs in Brooklyn. We know it's weird over there, but to see him hitting that well consistently is always nice. And he's a New York kid as well, from Carmel, New York.
And a Big Ten guy.
Carmel?
Carmel?
It might be Carmel.
There's no way it's Carmel.
No, the only reason I say this is because the Cooperstown, when I went to Cooperstown as a 12-year-old, the Carmel Cubs were there.
Ugh.
Yeah, they had cool pins.
What, they just like drizzle Carmel?
They got smoked. They stunk. Okay. They were terrible.
I love Carmel.
He wasn't on the team. He's a lot younger than us. Now, for a big name for you guys, Ryan Clifford. 23% walk rate in Brooklyn.
It's crazy.
Awesome. 30% K rate.
Not awesome.
Not awesome. Not really hitting for any average, not hitting for any power. But, of course, we know as a left-handed hitter in Brooklyn, you're hitting to the beach. You are hitting off the waves, and especially in April, especially the April we've had in Brooklyn, it has been freezing cold. Yeah. It has been windy. I can only imagine how many fly balls he's hit well that just go nowhere, and he's probably like, fuck this place.
And that play discipline tells me that there's like ultra passivity happening with Ryan Clifford, where it's probably, again, like a team directive, make sure you find your pitch, make sure you wait for your pitch. Like, we want to see you do damage, so we want to see you swing as many pitches in the heart of the zone as possible. Which I'm sure, like, someone like Ryan Clifford, you probably know that as the stuff is bad and you're such a big kid when you're growing up and playing mostly high school and, like, complex baseball, probably able to get to a lot of stuff with those arms. So you're probably able, even a pitch that might not be the pitch, you're able to drive it a long way. But as you keep going up in the levels, go upper minors, eventually major leagues, that likely won't happen anymore. So the passivity is something that's interesting. I'm not going to say it's a good or bad, but definitely something to watch.
Yes. Nick Morabito,
dog,
your boy, has been playing really, really well. Just to update you on his numbers, 19% walk rate, 18% K rate, a 212 WRC plus, which is, I believe, maybe the highest in all of minor league baseball.
I think it's top 5 in all of minor league baseball.
Which is pretty disgusting. 391 average, 528 on base. I'm sorry, Nick Morabito. Let me give you those 7 points because you're getting on base more than you are getting out, which is ridiculous. A 522 slugging for a 1050 OPS. I mean, what the fuck?
That's insane. The thing Morabito still is the fact that he's not getting to his power. He's hitting a lot of singles. He still running like a 50% hard hit rate, but he still hasn't gotten a ball in play over that like 105 mile an hour threshold. I really want to see some major league power from him, but the fact he's making this contact, he's a great athlete, using his legs, like it's a really good sign from one of the Mets' high draft picks of the last few years.
And then quick last little shout out to Jose Peroza, who's been a lifelong minor leaguer with the Mets. He's 24 years old out in Binghamton. I think he has an OPS in the 800s, a WRC plus at like 160, 170, playing first base and third base well in Binghamton. A guy who I don't know whatever impact he will truly make at the major league level, but someone that could be a free player maybe that we use one day to fill in these Joey Wendell roles where we don't have to pay a guy $2 million instead.
Totally, and I want to shout out Twitter account is doing some cool minor league StatCast data. The MLB Alchemist, he does analytics for Auburn baseball, so shout out to Auburn, shout out to boy Drewski.
War Eagle.
Yeah, he had some great percentiles on Jesus Baez, another one of my favorite prospects in Mets system that he's doing right now. So he has 75th percentile chase rate, 70th percentile contact rate, average exit velocity, 80th percentile, max exit velocity, 108, 70th percentile, 90th percentile exit velocity, 76th percentile, and only a 9% strikeout rate while getting to all that power, as I believe a 19-year-old down in PSL. So Really loving Jesus Baez. Think he has a lot of tools. Really like what we see in the major leagues. I think he's a guy who I like this. I can't wait to see him progress next few years.
Totally. And that's the prospect report.
Prospect report, another good one, fellas. We're loving that we've been getting some great returns from you guys in the prospect report. Loving that you guys like hearing them. So we'll keep giving them to you because you like them. So just keep getting the comments on YouTube. Keep getting the Apple reviews that you like these prospect reports because Mark and I both love the minor leagues.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best things about like modern baseball is how much we know about these minor leaguers these days, and both also love dynasty baseball. So it's just fun to keep track of all this stuff and
love making money on cards.
Yeah, it's all great stuff to do. But now we'll preview the Rays series.
So the Mets pitching stuff is a little fucked up because they still have Severino.
Let's see, push it back one.
Listed as Saturday, but I guess just push it back one.
Easy.
So go through it, James.
Easy. So pitching matchups for this weekend down in not Tampa Bay, in St. Petersburg.
St. Petersburg.
We got wow, this is gonna be another great 93-mile-an-hour bowl on Friday night. Jose Quintana versus Aaron Savali, and Saturday the big one, 7:15 on Fox. Cool to national game, yeah. All the big moments this year, no Gary, Keith, and Ron.
I know.
Kind of sucks. I wish we had those guys on the. I want to hear Ron talk about Christian Scott.
I haven't watched them much because I've been at games too a lot.
Yeah, but we have a true ace-off in this one. Christian Scott, of course, versus Zach Littell. Zach Littell is fascinating.
He's been all over that guy.
Yeah, for years I've been on Zach Littell. I fucking dropped in one of my deepest dynasty leagues in the offseason on a roster crunch. I'm kicking myself for it. But Rays, it's one of the most impressive things they've done as a franchise that they've converted him, who was like not a very good reliever, into a starter, and now he's an exceptional starter. Just a heavy dosage of fastballs and sliders, and it just got that good action on them too, even though he doesn't throw them hard. But then Sunday, matinee, 1:40, Luis Severino versus Ryan Pepio, another ace-off. Pepio has been one of the breakout stars this season. The Rays got him in the Tyler Glasnow trade, and he's looking like a high-end starting pitcher already, with just a few small tweaks, which is the Rays thing. He used to throw fastballs low, and now he throws them high. That's basically it.
I will say nothing demeaning about their offense because
nothing at all bad.
We know what happened the last time we done that. But Yandy Diaz is, go on Baseball Reference, look at the Rays lineup. You can make your opinion, but I will tell you the facts. Yandy Diaz is hitting .211 with a .279 on base, .276 slugging, .556 OPS. Jose Caballero, your boy, has been one of the better hitters, weirdly enough.
He's been good.
And he's been about league average.
Yeah.
So take that for what it is. Ahmed Rosario, Isaac
crushing
Paredes,
the ball.
Brooklyn's own Richie Palacios has been
Richie
great.
Palacios. He's such a dog.
Been really, really good at getting a shot. Former Cardinals outfielder as well.
Exactly. I was about to say that. And there's another thing where he went to Driveline and worked with some of the Rays coaches then too. In this offseason, now he's getting to significantly more power than he ever had his entire professional career, which says a lot about the Cardinals.
You got Randy Arozarena, who's going to make a big play.
Yeah, Randy Arozarena is another guy who right now has played below what you expect of Randy Arozarena usually. That's all I'm going to say about him.
Oh, wait, no, they didn't send Jose Siri down. Was he suspended because of the fight with Abner Uribe?
Maybe.
I think he was.
Could have been.
Yeah, that was a crazy fight in case you guys didn't see it.
I don't want to fight Abner Uribe.
No, but wouldn't be me.
And then last guy to shout out, Isaac Paredes, another guy who just went to the Rays baseball lab and became a superstar. He's the man.
I got a shout out. Shout out Phil Maton. All the idiot Mets fans who wanted to sign him this offseason. He's got a fat 7.6 ERA through 10 innings. Just saying.
No, and the Rays right now are kind of stuck where they're not playing very well, but they're still kind of hanging around 500, which is where you want to play if you're not playing well. A little below 500 now if they got swept by the White Sox, I guess. But they have a lot of help on the way. Taj Bradley's dominating AAA. Shane Baz is on his way back, too. So, nice time to play the Rays right now.
Yeah, Junior Cabanero's probably going to get called up soon.
Junior Cabanero's a freak of nature.
Thank God we don't have to see him.
He hits home runs. Wow. I know the AAA baseball is bullshit, but he hits home runs I can't even fathom sometimes in AAA, these highlights. But they're doing a thing right now where they basically have a rotation spot that's being shared by like Tyler Alexander and
Erasmo Ramirez.
Yeah, it's embarrassing right now for them. But it's like they're going to get these guys back. Sean Armstrong, too. Like they're dealing with some really, really it's just an incomplete team right now.
Yes.
Which is kind of when you spend no money, like that's going to wind up happening over the course of the season. Also, Peter Fairbanks on the IL after his great rant about sucking when he blew his save against the Rangers a few weeks ago. But just this team isn't playing well, but they have a lot of talent. They are pesky, and we're facing their three best starting pitchers, I guess, technically.
Bury them. Bury them. Just go out and
win a
beat
series.
them, please.
Win a series.
Enough of this bullshit, two runs a game. Score 5, 6, 7 runs a game. Let's win.
Yes, we'd like to see them win. And Christian Scott weekend.
Christian Scott weekend. Let's go ahead and check to see if we have any reviews that we have not yet caught up on. If
you
not,
just go right on Apple Podcasts?
I go to here. I don't know why I go to here. Do we do these people before? These feel like some new ones on here too. We got a lot going on here. I think you read out Ryan Keating. Did you do Ari Jacobs? Does that one?
Yeah, I did that one.
Okay. I don't think we did Chris Shubes.
No, I think I did.
You did Chris Hubbs?
I think so. I'll go on Apple Podcasts.
No, you're right. You're right. Because he talked about the 2020 offseason.
Yeah.
Joe DeMasi we did not do.
I might have. Joe's one of our big fans on Twitter, too. Are you sure we didn't do that one?
You read the last few, so I don't know. That's a good question. We're going to read Joe DeMasi.
Just read them. Yeah.
Love the content. Mark and James are two great hosts who play off each other well. Mark is more focused on hitting. James focuses more on pitching. As a Mets fan who loves outside of New York and doesn't really get to catch a lot of games live, it's always good to listen to these guys because they always have always give great insight. Love the Media Idiot of the Week segment, and I hope you guys keep adding segments and continue to be creative. Keep up the great content. Thanks. Thank you, Joe. We appreciate you. And then I got one from James WJ13 who says, fantastic podcast. As a brand new Mets fan, nice. You guys have helped me fall in love with my favorite baseball team. Keep it up. You guys are awesome. It's so great that you can help someone like me find their forever team. I'm very proud to be a Mets fan. You shouldn't be. Shouldn't be proud.
You should always be proud of it. It's hard work. It's hard work.
I mean, listen, if I could give you any advice, how'd you pick this team?
Yeah.
How'd you stumble onto us?
This is the working man's team. I love this. And I got one more on Apple Podcasts from Zach Gonzalez. Continues to be great. Been listening for a few years now. Never going to stop. Shout out you, Zach.
Love you.
Thank you. Never stop, please. They keep me updated on roster moves and minor leagues, which is great, and give honest and usually unbiased info about players and team. Usually unbiased. We're unbiased now.
We had money in our pockets.
Yeah, that was it. We sold out a little bit. What are we gonna do? I would much rather listen here than any other Mets podcast.
Nice.
Hell yeah. Where they have to be filtered and can't say what they want to say.
Nice.
Thank you, Zach, because this is unfiltered Mets content.
Yes, unfiltered, and I'll throw in a fuck in there just because we can now.
Fuck shit.
Fuck shit. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening and watching. Make sure you follow us on all our social media at Mets'd on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to the Mets'd Podcast YouTube channel if you want to see our burnt faces in this episode. If you like what you're listening to, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, drop us a rating, drop us a review, download and subscribe. Again, you'll get shouted out on the episode if you want that. Follow James on Twitter at
James_Shiano.
and me at Giraffneck Mark with a C. Thank you guys for listening and watching. We have some food to eat. Let's go Knicks. Let's go Mets. Fuck the Sixers.
See you guys next time. Let's go Knicks!